Hello, everyone, and welcome to Southern League Cavalier Football, the 2021 Season Review Show. I'm Mike Fowler, be alongside Austin Thomas tonight as we talk Cavalier football and the 2021 fall season. I want to thank our sponsors for helping bring you our show tonight on 105.5 FM WFJA. Wilkinson Chevrolet, Domino's, Sheriff Tracy Carter, Fix-It Plumbing, Farm Bureau of Tramway, Jones Printing Company, and Brick Capital Video. Video of our season review show will be posted on the WFJA Facebook page by tomorrow at noon. We look forward to talking about this year's Southern League Cavalier season. We're going to take a short break and hear from our great sponsors. We'll be right back after these messages.
Coaches Show sponsors: Wilkinson Chevrolet, Domino's, Farm Bureau Tramway, Sheriff Tracy Carter, Fix-It Plumbing, Jones Printing Company, Brick Capital Video.
Welcome back to the Southern League Cavalier Review Show. Again, it's Mike Fowler, Austin Thomas right here with us. Glad to have you in.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mike.
Hey, no, it's great to be here. You know, it's been great having Austin this season join me to do the color commentary, and it's amazing that the season went so fast as it did.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, time flies when you're having fun, and I tell you, it seemed like we were just getting started right before the school year began,
Yep.
and now here we are reviewing the end of the season.
Exactly right. It wasn't exactly the greatest season for the Cavaliers, but they got through it, and we're going to quickly go through some different things here tonight. But let's start with last Friday night's game, of course, the annual Brick City Bowl against the Lee County Yellow Jackets, and it was a game at Cavalier Stadium. It was the 15th Brick City Bowl. And it was a game that actually the Cavs ended up losing 42-0, but it was a game that started off. It was a pretty entertaining first half in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the Cavaliers had an unfortunate first drive. Freshman quarterback Brett Tate Blanks threw a pick six to allow Lee County to get on the board first, 7-0. But honestly, it stayed 7-0 for quite a while through that first half. The Cavalier defense through the first two quarters really showed up to play and really looked solid. Just, again, unfortunately, the offense couldn't quite get anything going. But, you know, those first few minutes, you kind of had to wonder if, man, the Cavaliers, how are they going to respond to this? And respond they did, at least for the first half.
No, exactly right. We talked about it, you know, during the pregame before Friday and, of course, during the game that it was a big game for both teams, actually. Of course, Lee County trying to lock in the home playoff game, and we'll get to the playoff schedule here in a little while. But also the Cavaliers, you know, trying to get that one win in the season that we hadn't gotten yet. And, of course, anytime you can beat your big-time rival, it's a big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, last week Coach McClure really harped on not needing a lot of extra motivation going into a game like that. You know, and Mike, as you said, that was the 15th Brick City Bowl, and you know it's a big deal here in Sanford for those two teams whenever they meet up. So the Cavaliers definitely looked amped up coming into that game. Just, you know, a few plays here and there didn't quite go their way and didn't quite get the result that maybe they were hoping for.
Right, exactly. But again, one of the things we saw throughout the Cavaliers, and we'll talk about some the results and everything, but one of the things that was really great to see is that from week one all the way till the end of the game Friday night is this Cavalier team, of course, led by Coach Mike McClure and his staff, never gave up. You never saw them give up in a ball game throughout the season.
No, never. And, you know, it was about the halfway point of the season that you and I really started to pick up on the demeanor of this Cavaliers team. You know, they're young and a little inexperienced, but I tell you, they went out each and every week and truly gave it their all. And I think that all starts at the top. You know, Mike, all season long, you and I were really impressed with Coach Mike McClure and the culture he was trying to build at Southern Lee. You know, whether it was having the whiteout game toward the end of the season, or having, you know, military appreciation night, or the pink out game, you know, all these little things that he's trying to implement, not only with the Cavalier players, but the student body and the boosters and the parents as well. So, you know, that's a good sign to see from a coach who's really in his first full season as head coach. You know, we don't really consider the spring season a full season just because of how odd those circumstances were. So, you know, a tip of your cap to head coach Mike McClure for really a job well done with a very young team this year. You know, we've seen it in his players' demeanor. He's a builder of young men, and, you know, speaking for both of us, we can both say we're proud to call him our head coach.
No, exactly right. And again, Yeah, as you mentioned, first full season, but they came and did a great job despite the record. But just did a great job. Looking forward to seeing what he does in the offseason now. We talked a little bit. We didn't get a chance to talk to him in the postgame show, but we chatted with him a little bit off the air. And I said, well, how much of a break do you get? He goes, I'll be back starting Monday. And just getting guys involved in different things. He talked about trying to get the guys involved in wrestling, whoever could, just to build aggression, just to build some things and keep them busy as they get ready to move forward towards the winter and the spring. And, spring football, before we know it, it'll be here.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And the reason we really didn't get to speak to him after Friday night's game, we noticed he was down on the field having a one-on-one with each and every single one of his seniors after the game.
Right.
Knowing that that's the last football game that any of them are going to play for Southern Lee, he took the time to pull each player aside and put his arm around them and really have what appeared to be some very thoughtful words with each of them. So it's certainly understandable why he wasn't able to join us, but I know you and I were certainly happy and really thrilled to see that interaction going on between him and his seniors.
No, exactly right. So congratulations to Coach McClure, and we want to thank him also for joining us each and every week. He's a busy man, but it was great to have him here, and we look forward to having him again next fall in the show season. So let's take a quick look at the results from last week, the final week of the regular season. Of course, it was Lee County 42 and the Cavaliers 0. Pinecrest 64, Union Pine 6. Richmond County, and they've been strong all year, 48, Scotland County 21, and Hope County actually was idle in that last game on Friday night. So the final overall regular season standings in the Sandhills 3A 4A conference: Richmond County finishes at 8-2 and 6-0 in the conference. Pinecrest at 8-2 as well overall, but 5-1 in the conference. Lee County 7-3 overall and 4-2 in the conference. Scotland County 5-4 overall and 2-3 in the conference. Hope County finishes 4-6 and 2-4 in conference play. Union Pines 2-8 with new first-year head coach down at Union Pines, finishes 2-8 and 1-4 in the conference. And of course the Cavs at 0-9 on the season and 0-6 in the conference. But again, as we mentioned, a team that's very young and can come back and do some good things here next year, we hope. So one of the positives of Sandhills 3A 4A is we have 5 playoff teams in the conference this year, varying from 3A and 4A. So it's going to be number 5 seed Lee County at number 28 West Johnston in a 3A playoff matchup. That'll be at Lee County at Paul Gay Stadium this Friday night. So if you're in town, go over and check out the Yellow Jackets. Number 3, Scotland County gets a 23 seed. They'll be at number 10 Southern Durham in another 3A playoff game. Richmond County, as expected, a 9-1 record. They get the number 1 seed. They'll go against 32 seed Jack Britt in the 4A. 13 seed Pinecrest will go against number 20 Rollsville in a 4A game. And Hope County, we were a little surprised that Hope County snuck into playoffs, but they get a number 31 seed, and they will get the privilege of going to play number 2 Wake Forest at Wake Forest. So that's going to be a tough one for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and unfortunately, Union Pines and the Cavaliers did not make it. So, Austin, we talked a little bit about when we played Richmond County and we saw them firsthand. We knew they were going to be tough, and they have a chance to go quite a ways in the 4A.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about that even coming into this season of the perennial powerhouse that is Richmond County. As always, year in, year out, there are high hopes for that team, and surely they lived up to the hype, only dropping 1 game this season to a very good Cardinal Gibbons team, who I believe ended up with a 5 seed.
Yeah.
And they lost a couple along the way after an impressive win over Richmond, but only 1 blemish on your record all season, and it's not just the record for Richmond County, it's the way that you saw how they beat teams as well. This was a team that really, looking up and down their schedule, they didn't have a lot of close ones. They ran away with quite a few games, and there were quite a few games that were pretty much over at halftime.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's going to be an interesting team to watch as the playoffs go on.
Exactly right. So we're going to go take another break and hear from our great sponsors. We'll be back for more of the show right after these messages.
Coaches Show sponsors: Wilkinson Chevrolet, Domino's, Farm Bureau Tramway, Sheriff Tracy Carter, Fix It Plumbing, Jones Printing Company, Brick Capital Video.
Welcome back to the Southern Lee Cavalier wrap-up show for the season. We thank you for joining us tonight on 105.5 FM WFJA, and thank you for joining us all season on 95.1 FM and 1050 AM WWGP, and also live streaming for those that did on WFJA, WWGPradio.com. It was a great season, even though we didn't win the games, but it's always fun to get out there and just watch these kids, and the effort they put forth.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we got to see quite a few kids who really, may have never had much football experience in the past. But, again, like we talked about in the previous segment, each and every Friday we got to watch them go out and really just give it their all out on the field. In a very tough conference, might I add.
Yes, sir.
Looking at how it shaped up, Southern Lee had to have had one of the tougher schedules in the Eastern Division of the state. So hats off to all those kids for a valiant effort this year, and looking forward to see what comes next.
No, exactly. Then going back even, they had unfortunately had the COVID quarantine, where we lost a couple weeks. And as I remember Coach McClure talking about that, how when they came back, they kind of rejuvenated them. And they had to get rejuvenated, getting ready to go into this conference and the way they had to start with those tough teams that we had to play. But they came through, and again, just you can't give enough credit to the kids and the effort they put forward. So each and every week at the games, as everyone knows, Austin and I had the privilege of picking the WWGP and Norman Financial Group offensive and defensive players of the game. So we're going to go ahead and do that for the Lee County game this Friday night. So our offensive player of the game really was quite easy to select. And I'll let you go ahead and introduce who our offensive player of the game was for Lee County.
Offensive player of the game against Lee County was none other than Christian Matthews, somebody that we've selected a couple of times this season for his offensive efforts. He's a guy that we didn't really see offensively until a few games into the season against South Johnston. South Johnston was kind of his coming out party. And boy, oh boy, just as the season went on, we really saw this kid pick up a head of steam as one of the team's leading running backs. He kind of had a bulldog sense of playing where it was just head down, straight forward up the field. And oftentimes you would look down, I would look down at my stat sheet, and he would have 5 or 6 runs in a row where it was, 4 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards, 4 yards. And, that's just the kind of player Christian was all season for this Cavalier offense. And Friday night was no different. I believe he had over 100 yards rushing in the game against the Yellow Jackets. Had a couple of pretty lengthy runs as well. So hats off to Christian for being our offensive player of the game.
Exactly right. Ended up finishing that game at Lee County with 30 carries for 102 yards. So he really carried the ball. And you mentioned South Johnson game, a couple other games, just hard running on his part. So congratulations to Christian Matthews as our offensive player of the game. And on the defensive side of the ball, a couple of different guys. Normally we have a struggle on the defense because there's some good players on this Southern Lee team. But this game against Lee County, we had one guy who we were called his name a few times. He's been there. He started off, I believe, as our first defensive player of the game in the beginning of the season. So who is the WWGP Norman Financial Group defensive player of the game?
Defensive player of the game is none other than Mr. Michael Tate Blanks, brother of quarterback Brett Tate Blanks, also a freshman as well. I tell you, this young man, as the season went on defensively, we really started to see him blossom, and the Lee County game was no different. Mike, I believe he finished the season with 4 sacks on the year, leading the team, 53 tackles, 2 fumble recoveries, just a really solid player for a kid, a freshman. So as the Cavalier defense moves forward next year without their leader John Wilson, who really carried the defense at times this season, I think Michael Tate Blanks is a kid that we're going to be able to look at as a cornerstone of the Cavalier defense for the next 3 years as he rounds out his high school career. So congratulations to Mr. Tate Blanks for being our defensive player of the game.
Yeah, congratulations. And you mentioned John Wilson. That's another thing that seeing John's leadership was probably instrumental for Michael as well, to learn from him. John, basically a 3-year starter here at Southern Lee, and be able to get the information and watch and how he practices, how he plays, and John Wilson played hard every week as well. So congratulations to Michael Tate Blanks on winning this award. And then lastly, our weekly Coaches Show Award presented by Wilkinson Chevrolet and the Coach McClure staff. Another gentleman who has won it. This is his 3rd time winning it this season, but really one of the overall versatile athletes we had on this team, a senior leader as well, and who is the Wilkinson Chevrolet Coach McClure player of the game against Lee County?
Coach's player of the game is none other than Mr. Josh Stone. Like you mentioned, Josh has been selected a couple of other times this season. Really, in all aspects, the true captain of this Cavalier team. Came into the season expecting to be the starting quarterback and did lead the Cavalier offense for the first few games before Brett was given a chance to run the helm. But that decision was made, I think, partially because they found how versatile Josh Stone is as a player. They were able to fill him in as a receiver, as a running back. He did really well on defense. In fact, he had the only pick 6 all season for the Cavaliers on defense. So Josh Stone really showed this season. We knew coming into the year how athletic this kid was, but he really showed us out on the field just what a true athlete he was, how big of a heart he had leading this Cavalier team. So I think it's perfectly fitting that Josh is the coach's player of the game for the final game of the season, because he had just a heck of a year for the Cavaliers.
Yeah, he really did. So congratulations to Josh. So again, Josh's name along with the others. I'm gonna go ahead and review our winners each week this season. All of their names will be engraved in this beautiful trophy. And once the engraving's all done, I'll have the game and the winner. This will be taken over to Southern Lee and put in the trophy case for display. And then we'll start it with another one next season. So the winners of the Wilkinson Chevrolet Coach McClure players of the game this week for week 1 against Westover, it was Michael Tate Blanks. The freshman had a great starting game. August 27th against Green Hope, it was Anthony Robinson. September 2nd at South Johnston, it was Josh Stone, his first award there. September 24th, Scotland County, John Wilson, of course, a senior linebacker that we've talked about a lot this season. October 1st, it was Pinecrest, and it was Brian McCullum with a big long field goal at the end of the game. I think it was 40 yards. It got our points, the only points we had that night on the board, and came in late and made a great kick. He also was our Norman Financial Group offensive player of the game for the first week as well with a field goal. At October 12th, we were at Richmond County, and that was Jeremiah Freeman. Jeremiah, a player that led the team in interceptions, had 3 picks, played some great plays the week before too, but it had some really, really good plays at Richmond County as well. Against the Vikings, Union Pines on the 22nd, it was John Wilson winning the award. Then, of course, as Austin just announced, Josh Stone takes it for Lee County. So those are your winners of the Wilkinson Chevrolet Coach McClure Player of the Game. And some great players here. And, again, looking at the Cavalier season, just 0-9 is tough to take, and you have to think about it. But I think they can hold their head high because they gave it an effort every week. And it's, like you said, tough schedule. Very tough schedule.
Absolutely. And, we're in this conference for the next few seasons, so it's certainly something that the Cavaliers will learn to adjust to. But, I think with Coach McClure at the helm and the culture he's trying to build, I think the Cavaliers have the right guys in place to really build something special over the next few seasons.
Exactly right. So we look forward to bringing that again next season as we get ready to go. So we're going to go take a final break. We'll hear from our sponsors. We'll be right back right after these messages.
Coaches Show sponsors: Wilkinson Chevrolet, Domino's, Farm Bureau Tramway, Sheriff Tracy Carter, Fix It Plumbing, Jones Printing Company, Brick Capital Video.
Farm Bureau Insurance at 1720 Westover Drive in Sanford hopes you enjoy Lee County and Southern Lee football. We want to remind you that at Farm Bureau Insurance, we believe that helping you is what we do best. Call Ken Lewis, Craig Jacobs, Carson Lanier, and Hunter Tilley for all of your auto insurance needs. Local professionals serving you here in Lee County. Remember, Farm Bureau Insurance is ranked number 1 by Collision Repair Professionals. See us today at 1720 Westover Drive in Sanford or call 919-774-4440.
Welcome back, Austin. Again, it's been great having you work with me this season, and looking forward to do it again next year.
Absolutely. It should be a great time.
Yep. So we hope you've enjoyed listening to the Cavalier Season Review Show. Our show will be posted on the WFJA website and Facebook page this Wednesday by noon. We also remind you to check out the WFJA website. Go to sports, then high school football, and you'll see choice pages to include the results page of each game if you want to go back and review. the season with complete game articles posted by midnight after the games, the conference standings, power rankings, schedules for all the teams in the Sand Hills 3A, 4A, and also all the playoff action that'll start happening this Friday night for those in the conference that have made the playoffs, and all the final stats for the Southern League Cavaliers. We are glad you've taken these opportunities to join us this season for Cavalier football. We thank all our sponsors for bringing you our show tonight: Wilkeson Chevrolet, Domino's, Sheriff Tracy Carter, Farm Bureau of Tramway, Fix-It Plumbing, Jones Printing Company, and Brick Capital Video. And we thank you for listening to WFJA and WWGP Sports. Good night, everyone. Go Cavs!
WFJA 105.5, Sanford, Pinehurst, Southern Pines.